Hello, all you hardcores. Guess who we've got on today? How are you doing, Curt?
Oh, hey, pal, can you see me all right? Have I got this the right way around?
No, you're up. You're upside. You turned to the side, Curt. But yeah, I can see you. That's the one. That's the
Is
one.
that
How are
is
you?
that better? Too many headshots, Russ.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, today we're joined by Curtis Woodhouse, legendary Premier League footballer, Birmingham, Sheffield United, various other clubs, England under 21 international, chopped Beckham down in a match against Man United, British super lightweight champion, trainer, terrible bookie. How are you, Kurt?
I'm okay, mate. Good to see you, Russ. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, listen, have you washed your car since I last seen you?
I don't know what car I had
That
last
black
time I seen you.
Merc, the black Merc you had.
No, yeah, that's well gone, that.
Cashed it in. How you been? All right.
Yeah, good, mate. Keeping
Good.
busy.
Yeah, you still got Adrian.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a few issues with him last 6 months, Russ. He's had a rotary cuff problem.
Yeah.
And it gradually just got worse and worse and worse. The last spar he had was supposed to be doing 6 rounds, and after a round, he literally couldn't move his arm, so I had to pull him out the spar. And since then, we've had rehab. We're with a specialist tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get the okay to start full time training again. But he's had a bit of a nightmare with him. But you know what, Russ? It might not be a bad thing because it gives us an opportunity to work on a few other bits. You know, really, I felt like his footwork needed a little bit of work, so we sharpened up that bit of head movement, bit of defensive work. So although we've not been able to train fully, we haven't just been sat on couch. We've been doing plenty of other stuff as well. So you know, it's not stopped us. It's just slowed us down a bit.
Plus, you'll get to because young lads at that age can get a bit carried away with because he's had a bit of hype around him, man. He's only a young kid in teenage. What is he, 19?
He's just 20 the other week. Can't come say. He's just
Yeah.
20. He was 20 the other week, Russ. So he's a baby. And you know what? I actually spoke to Dave Allen, and Dave Allen said to me, he said, you know what? It's not a bad thing, that, because it just slows it down a little bit for him. I
Yeah.
mean, since he's been injured, I'm expecting a knock actually from UCAD or something. Since he's been injured, he's put on over a stone in weight, just from becoming turning into a man a little bit. So I expect him to get in the ring at his next fight, close to 18 stone, Russ.
That's brilliant.
And he's a lump. It's not like these fat heavyweights. You know, his body fat's really low. So
Yeah, yeah.
and you're right. He has had loads of hype, and you know, I'm the first one to get everybody on the hype train. But also, I'm with him every day. I know what he's ready for and what he isn't. You know, I know exactly where he's at, and he's not ready for the big boys yet. But by the time he's more rounded, he will be ready. And the thing is with these, especially with heavyweight, you've got to take your time, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, listen, Dennis always used to say this to me. I always revert back to that because obviously I learnt my craft around Dennis for the over 6 years. But he said, look, it gives a trainer when they're out and they're that age a chance to have a look what the kid's about, how he handles it, kind of thing. You know, being out and not active and not as much hype around. Like, 'cause he has got a bit quiet, you know, him being behind the scenes. But I think you've done that to protect him, haven't you, Kurt? Really?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing about Adrian is if he doesn't get to where I think he's going to be, where I think he's going to get to, it'll be because he's not good enough.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
won't be because he don't put the work in. He's really, really dedicated kid. He don't drink. He don't smoke. Very, very quiet. Just goes about his business really. But yeah, sometimes it's not bad to take a couple of steps back. I said to Adrian, if he was 35, 36, I'd say, listen, let's get an injection in that shoulder, and we'll get a couple more fights out. He'll make a few quid. But he's a baby. You
Yeah.
know, he's the youngest heavyweight in Britain. So and sometimes Russ, when I take him in to spar people like Dave Allen, let's use Dave an example because he's someone we both know.
Yeah.
Adrian is strong as a bull. I mean, really, really strong.
Yeah.
But when I chuck him in with a Dave Allen who's got man strength,
Yeah.
Dave's way stronger than Adrian. But I bet if they were lifting weights, Adrian would probably be able to lift more than Dave. But what Adrian hasn't got is that man strength that Dave's
That
got.
know-how as well of how to use the strength.
Yeah, knowing how to lean on him. I mean, when Adrian spars Dave, the longer the spar goes, the harder it gets for Adrian because of, like I said, that man strength. Dave knows how to pull your head down, lean on you. And when I seen Dave giving Johnny Fisher going over, and you seen him pulling his head down, smacking him with that uppercut, leaning on him, I was thinking to myself, I see him do this with Adrian all the time. And it's good. Like I say, it keeps everything in check. It keeps Adrian where he is. And you know what Dave's like? When he spars hard. And one thing he said about Adrian, he says he is one tough kid. Because he's hit Adrian with some bombs and Adrian's not gone anywhere. So for me, they're spars where I look at Adrian after and I'm like, yeah, he's made of the right stuff, this kid.
Very crude, David, isn't he, to spar? He's very crude, isn't he?
Yeah, very. He's very crude. He's very strong. You can see how he's been sparred at the level he's sparred at, and no one's ever put him over because he just knows that. He knows how to do it, doesn't he?
Yeah, you couldn't get any better sparring for your protege than the White Rhino, could you? Really, at this stage of his career?
No, yeah, 100%. And Adrian says to me that Dave Allen is the strongest kid he's ever been in with, ever. And he's been in with all of them. But he said he's got like crazy strength, Dave has.
Yeah, do you know what David's problem is, in my opinion? He's never really been dedicated. And I think in years to come, he'll regret that because he's got the devil in him and he's tough. He ain't got the devil in him outside the ring because he's a nice kid, isn't he? Yeah. But I think he'll regret it in years to come, not being as dedicated as maybe he should have been, do you think?
Well, maybe these next 3 or 4. I mean, how old's Dave? 32?
33 in the next week or something.
So, I mean, really, has he got another 5 years in him?
Yeah, I think he has.
Yeah, you know, if he looks after himself, he seems like he's got his second wind a little bit. And you know, you can look at it like he's going to regret it, but maybe he can use all these experiences as a massive plus and think, you know what, I've got 5 years now to secure my
10 fights.
Yeah, financially, he could make a right few quid. The Johnny Fisher fight, again, I mean, it looks like it's been made. If I was looking after Johnny Fisher, that is not a fight. I wouldn't go straight into that rematch. I think Dave wins that rematch.
I do.
And then where does Dave go? You know, he's right in the mix then.
Well, he's back in mix after he does Fisher again because he done him first time, didn't he? Let's talk proper. He done him, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the fight. Yeah, no doubts about it.
I'm disappointed that he said he watched it back and he thought he didn't win it. I don't know if that's just a bit of gamesmanship trying to draw Fisher in.
Well, maybe they wanted him to sign the rematch, you know, and try to make Johnny Fisher feel a little bit more comfortable. But it looks like it's done, and I really like Johnny Fisher as well. You know, he's a big, strong kid. And one thing he showed against Dave Allen, he's got a big set of cojones on him.
Yeah.
I just think the rematch is. I actually said before the first fight, the worst thing they've done for Dave is give him 12 weeks notice.
Yeah. He'll be training like a Trojan now because if he don't get that rematch, he's kind of like in limbo, Dave. You know, they'll put him in with somebody to get him knocked about, won't they? Do you know?
Yeah.
And he's had enough of that, Curt, hasn't he, really? He's had enough of that, hasn't he?
Well, he's paid his dues, hasn't he?
You what? Pricey, Yoker, Dylan White, Luis Ortiz, who nobody wanted to go near, undefeated, WBA interim champion, WBA number 1, and they're putting a bit of a kid in with him with 10 fights, 11 fights. What was that, Curt?
But again, on the flip side of that, who's actually looking after Dave there? Because if that was Adrian, I'd be like, no chance.
No way.
It's not happening.
No, it ain't. A lot's gone on in boxing. I want to talk about a couple of topics. So we're not talking about this first, but I want to talk about Dana White and Turkey joining forces. But first off, I want to get your take on Martin McCauley coming in as a 22.5 stone substitute for Dubois. What did you think of that, Curtis?
Yeah, madness. Again, Adrian sparred McCauley. Adrian says the best he's ever been in is Martin McCauley. And he is a lump, a real physical presence, got really fast hands as well. Ross puts them together really well. And I really like Billy Nelson. He's been brilliant with me since he looked after. Oh God, who did he have? Who did he have? The super feather, Ricky Burns.
Yeah.
I went up to spar when Ricky Burns was fighting Michael Katsidis.
Oh,
So
that was some time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, all them years. I'll just tell you a quick story about that. So my phone rang, and it was Dave Caldwell. He said, "Oh, I've been asked if you can go and spar Ricky Burns to help him prepare for Michael Katsidis, and they'll pay you £750 a week." And I think the fight was at lightweight, and at that time I'm a welter. So I'm thinking to myself, this is the easiest £750 I've ever had in my life. He's just going to go up there. I'm going to get outboxed, but I get outboxed in the gym here, so it's no problems. And I went up there. I couldn't believe how hard he punched Russ.
Oh, Ricky Burns.
Oh, mate, he could really punch, especially to the body. Yeah. And that was probably the first time I ever learned about levels. Yeah. Just because Ricky Burns isn't a massive punch up at world level.
Yeah.
You drop him down to my level, all of a sudden it's like Tommy Hearns.
Yeah.
And that was an hard week, and that was the first time I met Billy. And since then we've stayed in touch and we're friends, and he's been brilliant. You know, always helped me out, and I really like him. But I think, I mean, we don't know firstly what Martin Bakole got paid.
No, so, there's all sorts of reports out there.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to say it's the wrong decision. But if someone comes to us and offers you life-changing money, it's very difficult to say no to. But ultimately, when you see Martin Bakole in there, who at that time has built up all this hype around him, the boogeyman, everyone's scared of him. And then you see that happen to him. All of a sudden, it's a bit like all that hard work we've done has gone. And he's kind of like, well, and now it gives people a great opportunity to avoid him. Well, there's no point in fighting Bakole. Look what happened to him last fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. And I've heard Dave Allen tell people that Bakole gave him nightmares in sparring.
Yeah.
And I was there when he'd done Huey with an elbow before Pulev fight.
Right. Oh, he's a real deal, mate. He's the real deal, is Bakole. And I just feel like maybe, I mean, it's easy for us to say. We're not the one that's been offered the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, me personally, it doesn't look like a great decision, does it?
No, it don't. And I was a bit disappointed with Spencer Oliver saying it's a better fight than Dubois Parker. And then 48 hours later, they were saying it was a terrible fight. He should have never took it so well.
I think, to be fair, if you're looking at a fully fit Martin Bakole, 10-week camp, then you're like, oh, Bakole versus Parker, what a fight that'll be. But that's not the Bakole we got, is it? You could see, as soon as he got off the plane, it looked like he'd eaten the whole of Africa. He was huge. And then when he got into the ring, you could see he wasn't in any shape. And, what happened.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to go on to a topic now. I know you don't get on with Crusher Ben, and you've had a few text messages here, there, and everywhere. I know you've been outspoken about the 2 drug tests. They've never given an explanation, but what do you make of it all now? Now it's all, they've made the fight at Tottenham and that, Curt. Do you think it's all wrong?
Well, can I just correct you there before we get going?
Yeah.
I don't not get on with Conor Ben at all.
Oh, sorry.
He's somebody I've never ever met.
All right.
My problem with Conor Ben is I love boxing like you do, Russ.
Yeah.
And I can't. And I train young kids. I met Adrian when he was 14 years of age. I've seen young kids that I've been bringing through since they were kids.
Yeah.
So my issue is somebody jumping in a ring with potentially one of my guys who's juiced up to the gills and could potentially hurt one of my guys. Yeah. So this isn't a Conor Ben thing. This is a dirty boxer versus clean boxer thing. So it's the same with Dennis McCann. It's the same with all of them that have popped for drugs. There's no. I just don't like him. I don't like what he stands for, and I hate the fact he's getting rewarded. When there's been no explanation, no one's ever told me how clomiphene got in his system. There's been no explanation for it whatsoever. And the only person that can give us the full explanation and break the what's it that is the sign that break the so it can be spoke about. Forgotten what the name is. The only person that can give us that information is Conor Ben. And if that information explains and frees him, then why is he not giving the information? Why is he not telling us why it was in his system if it clears his name, Russ? It's like if I get locked up for murder and I've got an alibi, it's like me saying, yeah, I've got an alibi, but I'm not telling anyone it.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to tell people if it clears your name.
You'd be screaming it from rafters, wouldn't you?
Exactly. But we all know that he's guilty and he cheated and he got caught and he's got out of it through a loophole or however it is. We all know the facts. But, no one will come out and say it. And, I watch your channel all the time, Russ, and, these people that have the power, that have the microphones, constantly let us down and don't ask the questions. So yeah, I have no issue with Conor Benn. I'm sure that he's not the biggest fan of mine, because I've actually been one of them. A few. I'm not on my own. There's a few more out there that have gone. What?
Liam Smith went after him, didn't he?
Yeah, I just think there's been a few that say, hold on, wait a second. We just need to know, number one, how did clomiphene get in your system? Because it's not something, that just appears. And number two, you're saying you got cleared. Can you give us the information on why you got cleared and how you got cleared? They're the only two questions any of us need answering. And if he comes back to us and says, this is how it got in my system, these are all the documents that cleared me, then you know what? We might look and say, well, you know what? Fair play to him. But he's never going to do that, because them documents that cleared him, he knows that in them documents, it'll say some things that he doesn't want to get out to the public.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is they've given 6 or 7 different versions of what's gone on. And I saw his interview with Darren Barker, which really cheesed me off, because Darren Barker said, and I quote, "Now that you've been cleared, Conor, and you've proved your innocence, is the Eubank fight on?" And I'm like, what? And he's reeled off who's cleared him, WBC and all these other agencies. It's just nonsense, isn't it, Curt?
Yeah, no, it is. But we kind of have to understand that the people that get full access to him are the people that he works with, and they work for him. So we're never really going to get a true account of. This is why I'm really, really looking forward. And you might not like this, Russ.
Yeah.
This is why I'm really, really looking forward to your pal's interview with the Cobra.
Well, I hope he goes after him, because if he don't, I'll be disappointed.
Well, he doesn't need to go after him. Like I said, this doesn't have to be a personal thing.
And they're just a couple of questions, isn't it, really?
Yeah, 100%. Just ask the questions. And hopefully, Carl, I always feel like Carl is always kind of, he's more of one of us, isn't he, than one of them.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll ask the right questions. And he's Carl Froch. He don't need to be out there with a begging bowl, does he? Just ask the questions and do what's right by the fans. So hopefully he will do that. But I don't think he will.
No. We're going to see, aren't we? I'll be very disappointed. I was disappointed with the Ben Whittaker interview and the Turkey one. But sometimes when you're in them situations and you're filming that person, it can get away from you and you lose your train of thought. So I've given it benefit of doubt twice. But this one, there's no ifs or buts. There's no reason why you can't be. This is a sit down. It's not outside a boxing ring or something with a crowd there. There's no reason why you can't just say, "Conor, how did it get in your system?" That's all he's got to ask.
Yeah.
And can you explain the situation with the eggs? Did you take them or didn't you take them? It's a boring story now. It's been going on for nearly 3 years, but we move on.
Well, you know what? Just to quickly on that one, Russ.
Yeah.
You're right. It seems to take up way too much of everyone's time than what it should. But the issue why people can't let it go is because when there's been other cases, it's been dealt with, and it is what it is. Even if the fighter's not come out and said, "Oh yeah, I've been found guilty," they've also not come out with loads of lies and rubbish. And that's what Conor Benn's done, and that's why people have gone, "That we're not having that."
Yeah.
If he'd have just kept his head down and just got on with it, people would have left it like they have done with plenty of others. But because he's lied over and over again, people can't let it go.
I know. And the funny thing about it is TalkSport went after him, but now all of a sudden they're backing him. And Juggy is saying, "Well, I've always got on with Conor Benn. He's a great kid and all that." He weren't saying that when it all came out, because he went after him, didn't he, Spencer Oliver? And now they've all changed the tune, haven't they? So I don't know if they've been got at.
Well, you keep saying that about going after him. I don't think anyone's gone after him. I think everyone
questions, aren't they?
I just think people just want an answer to the questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, I always try and kind of reiterate this over and over again. It's not personal.
No.
It's just that we love the game of boxing and we want to know how that's got in your system. Because before all this came out, I was a Conor Benn fan. I loved his dad, Nigel Benn.
Yeah.
So I seen his son fighting. I seen him doing well. I seen him getting better and better and better. I was like, oh yeah, I can get behind this kid. And then this all happened, and it made me feel a bit of a mug. Well, of course he's getting better. Look, it all makes sense now. So I feel like I've been made a bit of a mug of, really.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, Rico, who started this channel with me, and Julian McGowan, who used to be one of my main guests on here, they're like that now. We social media and that over that situation. Just another nailing coffin in it for people like Julian, who's trained at an high level, hasn't he? Fighters, Gary Sykes.
Yeah, I used to like the stuff with Julian as well. Really, really good, knowledgeable guy. Like I said, been around it for years. So it's sad to see him go, but this game will do that to you.
Oh, it'll send you crazy, won't it?
Yeah.
Dana White and Turkey have joined forces. It's now looking like Eddie and Frank could be just mere mortals. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it looks like they've opened the door, and Turkey's walked in and then chucked them out and closed the door behind them. And in comes Dana White. Yeah, I mean, listen, the next few months are going to be really interesting to see where this goes. The only thing that the YUFC have been able to monopolize mixed martial arts is because they are really the only show in town.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whereas, unless Turkey's going to throw top money at these fighters, there's also plenty of other shows in town for these fighters to kind of go on. And you know yourself, Russ, and the public will be like, what, really? A lot of fighters out there don't want to fight people.
Yeah.
So if they get chucked into this table with Dana White and Turkey, a lot of them might say, well, I ain't signing up to that if I'm going to have to fight bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
They'd much rather be with Eddie or Frank and have softer touches. So it's a lot harder to do in boxing. And it'll be interesting how the next few months and years pan out, really.
What bothers me? Well, it don't bother me because I'm glad if they're going to make everybody fight. Where's this going to leave these commissions, WBC, WBA, WBO, RBF, all them lot, because they're going to be non-gratis now, aren't they?
Yeah, no, 100%. And they're not going to take it lying down, are they?
No, they're going to be like, well, we don't need you now because we're going to have like a Premier League and everybody's got to fight everybody or you're out. And what's going to happen with purses? Are they going to get rid of purse bids and mandatories and all? It's all going to go. It's going to be turned on its head if they go the UFC route, isn't it? Really.
And also, Russ, you look at the UFC fighters. What do they always complain about? Money. They're not getting paid enough money. So is all that going to change? You know, is Dana White going to be the power of boxing and not the fighter? Which is something, again, I'm not keen about. Boxing should always be about the fighter. They're the one getting in there. They're the one that should be coming out with the most amount of money. If there's £1 million in a pot, then the promoter can't be walking away with more than the fighter. That can never be right.
It does happen, doesn't it? I mean, look at Cleverly Bellew. They got a couple $100,000 apiece, didn't they, in that rematch? And Eddie got $1 million.
Yeah, well, I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I'm just thinking of the UFC model where every top UFC fighter to make their biggest paydays had to come over to boxing, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, but the one person that can change all that, Russ, is Turkey.
Yeah.
If he wants, say, a league of 10, for example, and he can say to you, you're all going to fight 6 or 7 times, and there's 50 million to sign up to the league, he's going to get the 10 he wants, isn't he?
Yeah, but what if he don't? What if fighters are locked into a deal with him and everybody's going to get at it in courts and that? Because this is how I look at it, right? I always used to say this to Dennis. You know what? There's going to be big changes in boxing soon. The landscape will change. And you say, yeah, it just needs somebody with a lot of money to come in and change it all. Turkey's changed it all, but I see down the line him and Bricktop and Hills going at it. We're already seeing Eddie doing interviews talking about retirement on more than one occasion in the last couple of months. So he might be looking at it thinking, do you know what? We're just going to get what we can out of Joshua here and Conor Byrne, and I'm getting out of here because who else has Eddie really got apart from chasing around Australia and, you know, a couple of fights and Bivol and all that? They're not going to be around forever, are they?
No, he hasn't really got anyone. I think Eddie signs fighters up to 3-year deals now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
3 fight deals.
3 fight deals.
He's not got anyone he's brought kind of through from scratch, from the amateurs straight through to pro. You know, even when we were kind of all got on, I think the first journey we got on with Eddie was the Kell Brook one. Me personally,
Pons Ford, wasn't it?
Yeah, he started at
Picture Towers were on that bill, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, and that was the first kind of journey that we went on with Eddie. And then obviously we had the AJ thing, who took it to a completely different level. But I do think that Eddie said in an interview the other day that he didn't want to outstay his welcome.
And I don't think he has jogging it now.
Yeah, I don't think he has outstayed his welcome. I think Eddie overall has been fantastic for British boxing.
He has, yeah.
You know, when I first started watching boxing on the telly, Russ, it'd be in an Oldham Leisure Centre, and there'd be 800 people there, and we might get a Commonwealth title fight on top of the bill. You know, and Eddie's come along and all that's changed. So I wouldn't say he's outstayed his welcome, but he is no longer the kingpin that he used to be. And he might be looking at it thinking, I mean, if you are going to go, probably now's the best time to go. You know, when AJ goes, Eddie goes, it might be the perfect time to go, because I do think that we've seen the peak of Eddie Hearn and matchroom boxing. I think they've peaked, and there's no better time to get out than when you're at the top, is there?
No, they're in. And
you know what, as well, Russ, if he does go, and we sit down and we have a discussion about the Eddie Hearn era, there's going to be things that people moan about. But in the whole, you know, we've all got to say he's been brilliant for boxing. Yeah. In my opinion.
In my opinion, he has. But I think at the moment he's outstaying his welcome nearly, because he's doing a lot better than other promoters, small ones. But when I look at Eddie now, I don't see that edge to him like he used to have. You know, that he always looks a little bit on back foot now, doesn't he, kind of thing?
Yeah, like I said, I think we've seen the peak of Eddie. You know, I remember when he came to Hull, and he promoted Luke Campbell, Tommy Coyle, myself was on the cards. And I remember them early days, he'd be in Hull City Centre, he'd get himself on Tommy Coyle's market stall. And he'd be selling apples and pears and strawberries. And I think that was peak Eddie Hearn, because he was hustling. Yeah. And now I don't see that same drive and vigor anymore. And you know what, Russ? He's been in this game a long time, and it beats you up. It grinds you down. Imagine all the solicitors' letters he gets, the phone calls he gets. I bet sometimes he just thinks, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah.
So it's understandable.
I know, mate. I've seen Dennis dealing with it on a daily basis, and you know, he'd be like that. Then he'd have my knackers, because I used to cause so much knackers up there, as you know. And then he'd have his missus on phone, and Dennis would be like, "Well, where am I going here with this?"
Yeah, I mean, listen. If you look at Eddie Hearn's career like a fighter's career, we build up, we get to the top, we become champion. You can't stay there forever, because there's always there's a Daniel Dubois in the wings, a young heavyweight coming through, and all of a sudden you see AJ getting splattered, and it's kind of like what's happening to Eddie Hearn as well. He's come through. Everyone's loved him. He's been the people's favourite. Similar journey to Anthony Joshua. He's got there. He's champion. He's dominating the game. And then all of a sudden, they've all rounded on him and they've turned on him. And he's not the same promoter he used to be. And it is what it is. It's just a circle of life, isn't it? But overall, once his career's over, you look back and think, oh, wow, yeah, he was actually really, really good.
Yeah, he's had 15 years at it now, hasn't he?
Yeah, and Russ, we didn't see shows like we've seen shows before Eddie Hearn.
No.
You know, you've been in the game long enough. Eddie's changed the game for a lot of people.
Yeah, do you know what? We saw that Ben Eubank rematch at Old Trafford, but they were never really out like that for donkey's years after, until Froch Groves, were they really?
And also, how many were in there? It wasn't even full. It wasn't even full. Eubank Ben.
Oh, Eubank Ben were 40,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, now how many is it Old Trafford? 60, 70?
60, 70, yeah, back then.
It wasn't even full. Imagine if that rematch was on now and Eddie Hearn was put in. That's at Wembley.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of people take shots at Eddie, and I take a few shots at him, always in jest, because I've always liked Eddie. But ultimately, he's done a cracking job for the game, you know.
Yeah, we have to. I gave him some stick, but yeah, he has. Curt, do you miss being a footballer?
No.
You miss the money?
I miss the brass, yeah. I could do with another month's pay.
Have you and Steve Bruce made up?
I haven't seen Steve Bruce since the day I left Birmingham City.
No.
But I don't hold grudges, mate. It is what it is, isn't it?
You done his lad, didn't you, in a tackle?
It was a fair tackle. Things happen.
Oh, what womanizer, biggest womanizer in dressing rooms you've been in as a footballer?
Oof. Danny Sonner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he liked a girl. You know what with Danny though? He fell in love with them all.
Did he?
Yeah, he loved the little strip club, did Danny, and he'd fall in love with them.
What team were that at?
Birmingham. I was at Birmingham City with Danny. Great lad as well, Russ.
What's he like, Robbie Savage?
Robbie was a good lad. Was Robbie? He was quiet. He, believe it or not, and he wasn't quiet in the dressing room, but he hasn't got that huge personality you think he's going to have. And you know what I always say about Robbie Savage as well is because of everything that goes with him, his hair, his outlandish things. People forget he was a good player.
Yeah.
He was a good player, Russ. People think he just ran around and caused trouble. He could handle the ball. He could play, could Robbie. He
was one of Fergie's fledglings, wasn't he?
Exactly. And you don't go through that system for all them years if you can't handle the football. He could play, could Robbie Savage. I would say he's probably one of the most underrated. I'm not saying he was a world beater. He wasn't, a Steven Gerrard, but he was a lot better than people give him credit for. Underrated.
Who's best player you've ever played with, Curt, or played against?
Against Steven Gerrard, easy.
Yeah, that good.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what as well? People don't understand how big he is.
Yeah.
He's a big old boy, yeah, powerful, fast, everything. He would tackle, dirty. He had it all in, Russ. He's the best player I've ever played against.
Have you played against Gaza?
No. Bit before my time.
What about Dean Windus? Do you see him?
Yeah, he's. I actually spoke to Dino the other week. He invited me to play in a charity game in the summer for the ex Tigers, which I'm playing in. So I spoke to Dino, and I know he's not in the best of health at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. He's a good lad.
He's been diagnosed with dementia, Russ.
Oh, yeah, has he? Oh.
Yeah. So they're doing a charity game in the summer to try and raise a few quid for dementia. So I'm playing in that. Yeah, he's only 51, 52.
Oh, God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good of him to do that, though, isn't it? Do you know any Billy Whitehurst stories?
I know a few.
Go on, then, tell me one.
I can't tell you them all, but I was there the night he had a fight with Paul Silky Jones.
Never.
Yeah, I seen him and Paul Silky Jones go at it in the Cricketers on London Road in Sheffield.
That was his pub, wasn't it?
That was his pub, yeah. I seen them two go at it. Middleweight champion of the world versus Billy Whitehurst.
Would Billy get stuck in?
Yeah, there was some big shots going, let me tell you.
He had, I don't know if you've probably heard this one. He had a legendary fight in Thurnske, which is, you probably heard it, with a doorman. And they were at it about 35 minutes, and coppers come. And Billy says, "Don't you stop this." And they just kept at it, and they smashed each other to pieces.
Really? But yeah, Billy can really have a fight. I was actually with him about 6 months ago. Do you know Paddy O'Sullivan?
Yeah. Paddy O'Sullivan from Sheffield.
Yeah. Good friend of mine. It was his. How old was he? I think it was his
55 or something. Paddy, is he 56?
I think it was his 60th, Russ.
60th, yeah.
It was his 60th a few months back, and I went down there and didn't walk Billy Whitehurst, and you know what? He didn't half look well, Russ.
Yeah, he works at Kevin, when we got my studio, he works with his brother Dave at Rose Hill Cemetery in Cantley, Doncaster.
Right. Yeah, he looked well, mate.
Yeah, he's all right, Billy. I'll tell you the Billy story. Let's have a look. We've got enough time to tell it. When he was at Sheffield United, you probably know this one, Vinnie Jones was signed and he was on bigger money than all the rest of them. And he played up front, didn't he, Billy? Right? Because he lived in Village near where I'm from. So Billy's up front, he's striker. He was hard man at team. Everybody knows that. Vinnie Jones comes in, giving it the big one. And he had one of them, I don't know if you remember it, he had an Audi, but in olden days, they had like them box wings, didn't they, up front and back, like an Audi Quattro rally car.
Yeah.
So Vinnie Jones coming, I'm Vinnie Jones, I'm hard, I'm from down south. And I like Vinnie Jones, by the way, you know Vinnie. So Billy's looking at him for a couple of weeks, and you could sense that there's an atmosphere. You know, when a new signing comes and everybody sees it in Daily Mirror how much he's getting a week. So Billy's thinking 400 a week, Vinnie Jones, 1,500 a week. I'm not happy with this. So he says, "Here, Vinny, give me your keys for your car. I need to move it to get my car out." So Vinny's gone, "Here." Chucked him keys in dressing room after training. Billy's razzed off. You know where training ground is because she used to play there, didn't you? Fetched it back, pulled in car park. He'd smashed it through all these generals around Sheffield, totally destroyed it, wrote it off, limped back to training ground, thrown him his keys. Vinny's come out of dressing room, all the players are there watching, and Vinny's gone. So it's now on Vinny. What are you going to do about it? I'm the top dog here. Well, they ended up mates after that, but a very, very hard man, wasn't he, Billy Whitehurst?
Oh yeah. Billy's there's loads of hard men in football.
Yeah.
That can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. You know, if you put in a few naughty tackles, it doesn't make you a hard man. But Billy was a genuine tough man.
Oh yeah, when he played against Ian Snowden, you know, I'm very good pals with him. He tells a good story where they were him and Peter Reid at midfield, and they're coming off at half time. He's like, "I'm gonna see you after game," you know, giving it that one. And they're all like, "God," do you know what I mean? Just a scary guy, isn't he? But like I said, if he got stuck into Silky Jones, like middleweight champion at world, he's not scared, is he?
No, he can have a fight, Billy.
What's next for you, Curt? Now, what you got rest of the day on for rest of the day?
I've got Adrian and Harry Powell. Another one, Russ, that I've got to look out for. A guy called Harry Powell, 6'5" middleweight. Yeah. He's coming on. Was a decent amateur. I've got Harry and Adrian training with Malik Scott.
Malik Scott.
Malik Scott's over in Hull. His wife does the Champions League stuff, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So he's come over with them, and he's going to do a session with them two guys. So looking forward to that. I really like Malik. You know, I like watching him coach. I know he gets a bit of a raw deal because people always say he's the guy that ruined Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
But I've been up close and personal with Malik and watched him coach. He's very, very good, Russ. You know, very technical, understands the game. And I think his speciality is with long boxers. And obviously with having Harry and Adrian, I've done 3 or 4 sessions with Malik and been really impressed with him. So he's a great guy as well. So he's coming over to do a session with the lads.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Curt. Should we give Max a shout out?
Yeah. Is he still 25 stone?
No, he's 20 now.
Well, listen, Adrian's been out for a while. He's looking for a comeback fight. So
Max, there you go. You've still got your license.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do Max over 6 threes, and we'll pay him 10 grand
on a big run show.
On a big run show. Doesn't need to sell tickets. He'll get 10 grand in his hand. The only downside about him is he'll get splattered in about 30 seconds. But he'll get 10 grand for it.
Okay. Well, listen, Curtis, thanks very much, mate. I love you to death, and thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, Russ. Top man.
Cheers, mate.
See you, pal.
Right. Oh, that was Curtis Woodhouse. Women love him, men want to be him. Nice for him to come on channel and stick to his word. It's a pity Carl Froch didn't stick to his word, did you, Carl? Pop, pop, bang! People shouldn't say things to me and then cock off. That's how I look at it. Okie dokie, but that's boxing industry, innit? It's a very fractured sport. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that with Curtis, and I hope you all like and subscribe and leave a comment and share the video on your WhatsApp to your pals or your social medias. Okie dokie. One push out.